Good afternoon, good afternoon. Here we come again for another session for the people, by the people. The only thing missing tonight, guys, my two Jesit, as Karamba would call them, they are out of pocket. Saryang is out of pocket, so is Pasamba. So you guys are going to be stuck with me. I'm sure you must be very excited. I have here with me the Secretary General of the People Progressive Party. We're talking about Sadauda Kebba Jallow party. The conversation tonight is going to revolve around the former president, Sadauda Kebba Jallow, who would have been 100 years old a couple of days ago. And as we celebrate his birthday, we will also celebrate his legacy as a leader, the first president of the Gambia. We're talking about the person that one could even say brought independence to the doorstep of the country, to the source of the country. So tonight, who else is in a better position to talk about the power, his legacy? This person knows him personally. I mean, not only are they related, I mean, he's been part of PPP for a long time. And when we said we were going to talk about the past legacy, everybody was saying, Wahlena Kebba Jallow, he can definitely give you the Kebba. Welcome to For the People, by the People.
Thank you, Musa. Again, thank you. I am back in Atlanta,
Right.
and your face, you symbolizes Atlanta. You symbolizes the whole of the Gambian community in Atlanta and the diaspora. Seeing you, the same as I left you some years ago, is the same Musa for the cause of the Gambia, for the people, by the people, of the people. So, Musa, thank you so much. I'm here.
Thank you very much, Kebba. Welcome back to Atlanta. This is your city. And I
Yeah.
have to be, Kebba, I have to be honest. When I used to live up north, Providence, for a long time. And then I went back home back in 92, 93. And after the coup, I came back to Atlanta in 96. In those early stages of the Jammeh regime, there were very few people, and I mean very few people that were out there pushing back and saying that we need to restore democracy and rule of law. When I came to Atlanta, you were the champion of that.
No, no,
You
no.
were the one person, you were steadfast. You set the tone, Kebba. You were the leader here. I remember back in 2001, 2001, you were out here raising funds for the United Democratic Party. You came to my house and said, we need to do something with Omar Faye and some of the other guys, Amadou Lo. That time, believe me, the struggle was very, very limited. There were very few people.
That is true.
But you were there. CNN building, Kebba Jallow is always there, calling for demonstrations to Washington, to New York, with Banker and all these other guys. So Kebba, you were the leader. And what I really admire and respect about you, you have been steadfast. When some PPP people were switching over to join the Jammeh regime, you refused. And you could have. You refused. And I just want to, just very quickly, if you can kind of relive those days back in, and of course, we have Saul Badjie. He's joining us today as well from Michigan. So,
Uncle Keba, nuyu naa la.
Good to see you.
All right.
Saul is always, I have to be honest though, he's always defending the PPP at every turn. He is, no doubt.
Musa,
Mhm.
I like your radio. You say for the people, by the people, of the people. Is that something like that? Is that right?
Yes, that is true. For the people, by the people. Correct.
That's why when I ran from the regime, the dictatorship at the time,
Mhm.
I said I'm going to stand for the people, by the people, and of the people. That is the
Correct.
stuff. So
Correct.
it was no coincidence.
Mhm.
Musa, to be honest with you, we had a country.
Mhm.
In this world, there's nothing perfect. the PPP government was never a perfect government, was never a perfect system. But at least we laid the foundation for a better and prosperous system, a country. Now, going to where we started in just pre-1965, 1994, as a country, a small country, I can say, if I remember historically, it's the smallest country on the mainland African continent, if I remember. I think I read it somewhere. With very little or no resources for that country to attain independence, number one, to attain self-government, to have a presidency, and then to be able to manage ourselves internationally, recognizing us. I think that a demonstration of the willingness of our forefathers, the struggle, And to be honest with you, the Jawara and the PPP, and not even Jawara, the people who were there at the time, there was UP. Don't forget, started well before. It started well before PPP. There are people who struggle to bring the name of the Gambia to the forefront. It only happened that Sadara was very smart and was very lucky and faithful that he had to go a step forward, make sure that the Gambia is well known, the Gambia is established as a state, as a country, so that the Gambians can manage their own affairs. This is the difference we had. The others also, they wanted Gambia to be Gambia. They wanted Gambia to be aligned with other countries. If we had gone through the UP, I think, UP, we would have been aligned with Senegal. That would have been a different story altogether. But was through Sauda's effort and those people, they said, we have to get on, we have to go independent. We have to be an independent sovereign state. This is where there was this disagreement. So the Gambia paved the way for it to be independent through PPP. And don't forget also, it was not only Sadaura. There were so many good people, Jahumpa, Jesse Jahumpa, and what's the name of the other guy? Fai. So Omar Fai's father.
Yes,
JC fine.
Yeah.
Not Jesse Fai. Sir Omar Fai.
Omar Fai. They did very well in Banjul. They did very well so that the Gambia can move forward. So, but the champions at the time were the people who were in the provinces, believing that the Gambia is one country. They have to have a way out so that we can be one. Jawara said he cannot lead the party if the country is divided. Because in that small country, you cannot divide in country, the colony and the protectorate. Jawara wouldn't agree to that. He said, we have to unite as a country, making the PPP as one party, People's Progressive Party, not People's Protective Party. No. So conquered that battle, and that was very significant, because to be able to do that, bring the together, the protectorate and the colony, bring them together. Today we can say it's easy because it's no longer there.
Right.
People in the provinces can no longer say I'm from Badjie or I'm from Basse. Now we are all Gambians. That is significant. I think we should not forget that. Now, going above that, when we were united, Jawara joined with the people in the urban area and formed the PPP, and then we contested elections. I repeated, UP, my mom was a very, very, very hard supporter of UP. The whole of Combo, the whole of KM were all UP. I remember Uncle Jibu Jan was the best man at the time. My mom and the people of Bundung were supporters of UP. But then to come on board and take over the whole of the urban area was not easy at the time, but it happened. So this is the little story, starting of the story of the PPP.
Kebba, before Saul comes in, there was something definitely unique and different about Sadauda. And that is, just after independence, there were quite a few countries, whether you talk about Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, they all had independence around that same time, like in the 60s. They had it before we did. But Sadauda was able to do something that, and I'm talking about prior to independence, we all live in our own regions, our own families. people we lived in, let's say, for instance, ethnic groups would live in the same villages and things like that. And here you're talking about coming in and try to create a country and say, we are all in this together, nationalistic. And those things are still a challenge today. But for whatever reason, Sadauda was able to bring people together. Sadauda was respected by people from URR. Sadauda was respected by people. And when I say respected, he was also trusted. And that is so difficult for a leader to be trusted by people that are diverse. We celebrate our diversity, but at the same time, it takes leadership for someone to earn the respect of everybody. He was able to do that. Sadauda. I mean, Nigerian leaders were not able to do that. Their politics was very tribal. Ghana, the same thing. A whole lot of African countries, Sierra Leone. But for whatever reason, this man was able to earn the respect of people that were diverse, different. Is that can you just comment on that? Because for me, that is huge. Because there are leaders who are having a hard time earning the respect of a diverse people.
If you, Sadauda was a visionary leader. Sadauda foresaw the future of the Gambia, being a Gambia for all Gambians. That is why in my opening remarks, I stated the fact that the Gambia would be Gambia when we are united as one. And in the provinces, you had the Fulas and the Mandingos mostly. In the urban area, you have the Akus, you have the Wolofs, and the Sereres mostly. That was able to bring Gambia as one. That is why, if you recall my introduction, I said Sadauda was able to make Gambia one because he had to unite the urban people and the rural people as one. He was very clear. He said he cannot rule the Gambia if we are not one. So you can see the diversity that he tried to bring in. The people of the urban area, which are made of different ethnic groups, the Akus, the Fulas, and the Wolofs, the Sereres, and other, the Manjagos or whatever, mostly in the urban area. In the up country, you have the Mandingos, you have the Fulas, and others. So, to put the country as one country, he had together. That's why he had this thing with Jahumpa. They formed a alliance.
An alliance, yeah, with Ibn Jai.
The alliance was meant to unify the country. Also meant to campaign under one flag as a Gambian entity. That is one party. So this is Sadauda has a vision. He never stepped into anything that is blurry in the future. No. He stepped into something that he can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So the best we can do is this tribal thing should be out. If you the whole of Sadauda's time, that was like tribalism. Somebody can be tribalist in your own mind, but his administration. No, he was never, nobody can accuse him of being a tribalist. So can be tribalist in your own mind, but not Sadauda's administration, not in his family, not anywhere. So he had to take that out completely. He focused on the country, and he was very serious. So you cannot govern a country closing your one eye and opening the other. No. You have to look at both eyes, make sure that what you are into is what the country wants. So that was a unique person. He was a unique person at that moment in time. But he was also very strict. So there are people who were very serious at the time, who loved the country.
Correct.
Sirif Diwa was a very strong guy, but he loved the country. They were together. If you remember people like Sanjali Boja, they are very strong. They advocated for the people of the country. Patura Sanya, Fofana, all those people, they are there for the country. And so all these good people together for the interest. But let me tell you, one thing that Saudara fought and won with our blood, fighting with our words, is to unite the tribes as one Gambia.
And he succeeded in that. So We're talking, Saul, you can come in. We are talking about the PPP, Sajauda's legacy, and I see Tukulo C. They are talking about Alaji Amber's PPP. Do it for him by saying something nice. So you don't have to worry about that. He would press the platform. So don't worry about that. I got that covered. So
Yes, Musa. Well, wow. I knew the old man would have been 100 years. I think was it Friday or Thursday,
Yeah.
and it was all over the news. Uncle Keba, am I right? Was it Thursday or Friday?
Yes, it was Friday, I think. Yeah.
Yes. So we continue to mourn his passing, and also send our condolences to the entire family and the entire PPP political party. Um, Sadauda's book, which if anyone hasn't read it, again, it's still available. Musa, we remember the day the old man came to Atlanta. You know that
correct.
Atlanta event was probably one of the most successful events
Oh, the very
after all
Absolutely.
those years,
in that.
because I was there, you were there. Uh, I,
Absolutely.
I I was a little bit remorseful that I had Jammeh's security detail person escorting the old man there, and I started looking and I said, what a controversial thing to do, but they needed to do that to serve him. Even though I know that guy would go back and say whatever he thought about us,
Mhm,
as they always do. But seeing Sadao Musa and
mhm,
taking my son, I think he was the only one at that age. No, my two daughters were with me. We were there, and I explained exactly my service to that old man as as an intelligence agent at the time, who was
mhm,
employed in 1988. Around 89, I graduated in 88 with Adama Barrow, by the way, for those of you who are watching. Adama Barrow
mhm,
and I went to Muslim high school. We all graduated together, President Adama Barrow.
mhm,
But Musa, the reason Uncle Keba is talking about all of these things is that book signifies who Sadara was. I am not too sure. Maybe in the future we will be able to have a president who would catalog all
mhm,
of the history of their presidency, because we need that. And
mhm,
Sadara left us a legacy, which is a roadmap. I call it a GPS system. And
mhm,
we have not followed that GPS system. It's not perfect, like Uncle Keba has said.
mhm,
Sadauda's legacy is supposed to be our yardstick, Musa. I have said
mhm,
this numerous times that the old man, we can say all of his faults. I mean, the only person who could not be at fault is a prophet of God, because those people are given information about everything that is going on in the world. He was not perfect. I keep
mhm,
reminding Gambia that at the time that Sadauda was the president, Musa, there was a
mhm.
lot of dictatorial behaviors in presidents all across the continent of Africa.
Absolutely.
Sadauda was exemplary because at the time, people say that Sadauda sometimes were kind of a little bit, elusive. He kind of put a little bit of pressure on political parties. Uncle Keba is a witness here. Musa Jeng, if you don't know, Coach Pasambajau can tell you this. PDOIS, because I worked in the intelligence agency, they were everywhere the PPP was, to the extent that they were scared of the PDOIS. Then that talk
Mhm,
the what times you say guy you know the guy you know it. But he
mhm,
understood the reason why the PDOIS existed and opposition parties were there. Because those
mhm,
opposition parties were holding him accountable. And they
mhm,
actually helped him to continue to win elections, because when they accused him of things that he was doing wrong,
mhm,
he would take advantage of those things and
mhm,
change the trajectory of the country. Yes,
mhm,
mistakes were made when he went to Mansakonko and made that
mhm,
announcement that he was
mhm,
going to step down. But Musa, Gambians will not forget that in 81 we had a coup d'etat. That coup
mhm,
d'etat took the country down to its knees.
mhm,
Lives were lost. Yes, people were
mhm,
persecuted, but you can appreciate why Sadada did what he did.
mhm,
When there's discombobulation, there's usually sometimes you may put a little bit of pressure on the situation to calm
mhm,
things down and take control of the country. I mean,
mhm,
he could have imposed martial law, Musa, for all I can care. But
mhm,
Sadauda didn't do that. So yes, there were mistakes that were made. People were persecuted who probably would not have been. And Hussein
mhm,
Udaba, to his credit, went to court to fight and win the cases of those people. Did Sadauda
mhm,
force himself in those cases? No.
He
So
never.
essentially what this old man did in the whole entire world to this day. You saw his pictures with President George Bush here in Washington D.C.
Mhm.
Why were these leaders, the Queen, why were they associating themselves with Saudi at the time? To the extent that we have the human rights headquarters in Banjul. These
Mhm.
are legacies that we need to pay attention to. But Sadauda
Mhm.
left a lot of institutions. We knew about the NCP, the GPMB, and Uncle Keba can talk about all of these other state agencies that were built. The Ports Authority. The Gambia had nothing at the time we became independent, Musa. To the extent
Mhm.
that we were called the country that would not succeed. But they
Mhm.
refused, like he was just talking about what happened with the UP trying to amalgamate or kind of have a coalition or collaboration with Senegal, whereas we would not have had a country.
Right.
These
Mhm.
are things that we need to remember. And I'm going to
Yeah.
pass it on to Uncle Keba to kind of dilute on all
Right.
of these things a little bit.
Yeah. Musa,
Wow.
in the life of a country,
Mhm.
as generation passes,
Oh,
there
yeah.
will come
Thank you, Radio.
time when somebody will stand out. And during that time,
Mhm.
Sadauda and his team, they stood out and did what they did.
Mhm.
At that moment in time in our history,
Mhm.
Sadauda's name was mentioned. Sadauda was
Mhm.
there with some people. I give credit to all of them.
Mhm.
We are doing this for Sadauda because he did well, his name was there,
Mhm.
he passed away.
Mhm.
We have all rights as Gambians to commemorate him or celebrate him.
Mhm.
Comes a time in life when we
Mhm.
have to stand back. And the good thing that has happened,
Mhm.
remember, remember very well the good that the Saudi that undertook for the country.
Mhm.
It was it's a small country, to be honest with you. If
Mhm.
I remember, the historians are saying that it's the smallest country on the African continent.
Correct.
Barely no resources.
Mhm.
Now we found ourselves on the world map during his time.
Mhm.
Now that is the foundation that we accept about Sadauda. That
Mhm.
Musa, it is Sadauda, others, and Musa, and you, and everybody. Now we own a country.
Mhm.
We have to build a country. Look at America, 240 something years old. They had
Yeah,
flaws. They had
they
flaws.
do.
The country
Mhm.
remained. The country remained. They built on it. Now I'm
Mhm.
very happy today that people who were not even aware of Sadauda's time, they read
Mhm.
his legacy.
Mhm.
They read his legacy and they are building on it.
Mhm.
Sadauda never believed in one party state. No. When, in
Never
fact,
did.
when most of Africa were, even Senegal, were
Mhm.
running on one party state,
And there
Sadauda
was.
believed in multi-party democracy. That's all the time.
Mhm.
In 1981, when we had that incident, and he even allowed Sri Duba in prison to contest elections,
Mhm.
those difficult times. So
Mhm.
these things that we should not ignore. And I'm happy. What's the name again? Some of the things that we will have to rewrite the history
Mhm.
as time goes on. We have to rewrite the history because if you remember, as we said, Halifa Saleh,
Mhm.
Halifa was so instrumental in the urban area at the time that
Mhm.
the party was not fearful, but we were very careful. We
Mhm.
were we are not fearful to win, but we were very careful. Our utterances, our actions,
Mhm.
not to infringe on the state machinery or the
Mhm.
state. If we go against Doi legally, Saudi would not accept that.
Mhm.
Us will come after us. So we were, in fact, Halifax Doi, they were so careful. In fact, their actions helped the PPP in Sarakuna at the time to be
Mhm.
mindful. Whatever the wrongs we wanted to do, we have to correct ourselves. Utterances, actions, and so on. So this was what Sadara was trying to build. The party,
Mhm.
the country belonged to all of us. If
Mhm.
you are another party, then you have the right to contest. You have to canvass. So now, what we are saying, these are legacies of Sadara we have to build on.
Mhm.
The country has passed that stage now. Now we
Mhm.
are free. We are free. Yeah,
Mhm.
tried to bring us back, but it did not succeed.
Mhm.
Gambia, when things were difficult, even if I was going to call my sister, they were
Mhm.
afraid to talk to me. But I
Mhm.
remember when OJ started to come into Atlanta,
Mhm.
prior to all of us, we started to be to talk freely, organize ourselves. So there was no time when Gambians were muzzled or could not talk. When the time came, we all came together. So this is the foundation that's built, and I'm glad now we will never go back. There's nothing like the dictatorship in the country again. I live in India, and I know what is going on. I know what I know. Look at Senegal. A typical example, when they were fighting, but the voters kept their votes. What they was when the time came, they just went to vote, and they changed their government 3 times, if I remember. The ballot box. This is what we need to inculcate in the Gambian, that you can talk your talk, do your do. When the time comes to vote, vote for your conscience. That's in Gambia, not for the soldier to come in again. No, we don't need them. We don't need the soldier to change the government for us. But the people can talk. They can go to the streets. They can exercise their voting rights. They can assemble peaceful assembly. They can do anything just for them their voices to be heard. And I think the foundation that's another laid, and I believe now with the coming of PPP, we are going to change our strategy. We are going to educate our people. It's not going to be like PPP want to be the president. No. We have had presidency for a long period. We will educate Gambians. If people trust the PPP to bring forth a candidate, we will bring forth a candidate. And I told Musa 10 years ago, PPP will want you to come and we put up a candidate. Musa said no.
Kebba, as we continue the celebration, and I want to obviously, welcome Kebba Nanko, a well-known and also my good friend, Jibril Fadia from the Providence, Rhode Island, is also on the platform. So, but Kebba, there was another thing. I talked about how part of his legacy is the ability to unify people. But there's also something else. We all know that corruption, especially corrupt leaders in the African continent, has always been there, going all the way back to 1965. You could say that most African leaders were very corrupt, and you can tell. But Sadauda is the exception. And most reasonable people would say that the man was uncorruptible. And I think that needs to be celebrated. What do you have to say about that? Here is a man who was in power for 30 good years. When everything was said and done, there wasn't much to show for. I mean, if you compare him with other leaders within the African continent, what does that tell you about the man as far as uncorruptibility?
After the event of 94, I met up with Lady Chiller. I think that was in Ghana here. When she was staying with us for a couple of days. Lady Chiller, when we sit and talk, Lady Chiller was telling me, Kebba, she called me Mr. Chairman. I said, Sarada did give everything to the Gambia. I said, what about this question of between him and the family? He said, if Sarada owes anybody, he may owe the family. He may owe the family, not the Gambian people. She told me that even to the lights at night, when everybody goes to bed, Sarada will get up at night and cut the lights. Only because he wants to conserve energy, number one. And he said if he wanted to talk to his children in UK or wherever, he would stand there and make sure they talk their talk just to cut the bills. So this is what the reason she was saying this is because Sardara was trying to be very, very careful. His life as a family and his life as a leader. When I remember the commission, after the coup, they set up all these commissions. The commission from the judges were all foreign. And there was nothing, absolutely nothing about Sadauda. Nothing about Sadauda. And even his
single thing.
They were saying there was petty theft, petty crimes, and so on. But then the Bamford Commission, there was no, you cannot accuse the government of rampant corruption, as I alluded. So there's nowhere you can go in a society in Africa or in America. There's corruption worldwide.
Absolutely.
If we say there's no corruption in America, perhaps you are in Musajan's seat, but not Kebba seat in America. There is corruption in America.
Of course.
There's corruption in South Africa. There's corruption in America. But for Gambia, at during Jawara's time, it was so minimal that it's negligible, but it was there. It was there because I remember there was Sehu Sabali and Tix Mani.
Yeah.
That incident brought up the semblance of corruption in the Gambia. So I said, okay, let's find out. He said, if you find anything, you will dance to the tune. And then we were onto that incident when and there was a coup after a couple of years. Nothing had happened. But that is the main one that we know that is an accused person. It was not proven in the courts that Sehu Sabali was corrupt. It was never proven in the courts. He was an accused person. So we should be mindful of accusation and proven. But I remember Jawara's government did this. He led by example. He led by example. Let me tell you, even for me, when I was on the Sadada administration, I was the first elected mayor or chairman of KMC. I paid $50 a sitting allowance. After I had to fight and pay $2,000 a month, and later we fought and get paid by $3,000 a month. But look at that time, there was no way I can even think of getting anything from the country. Everything, I never signed checks. Everything was gone through the administration. So there was checks and balances. There was so much checks and balances. The auditors will come, the inspectors will come, and all this. I've never seen money. I don't even see money. But you know, when you leave things up, now that's what I'm seeing in Gambia. With these auditors in Gambia, I think they are doing a good job. Because in Gambia, auditors in Gambia, I think they are doing a good job. They are unearthing things that we at the on the other side we may not see. And Parliament also is doing their job. Parliament is going through all the reports of the Auditor General. So these checks and balances there. But during Jawara's time, I will sit here and say there was no corruption. Please don't. There was corruption.
Yeah. But I just want to come to Kebba and Uncle very quickly, and then Saul. Saul, just say something, and then we bring Kebba. Then we have my good friend Fadia as well.
Quickly, Musa, I wanted to remind Gambians, I'm looking for an audio that was sent to me by a colleague of mine on the days after the 1981 coup d'etat to listen to the nuance and the knowledge and the level at which Sadauda's thought process was. You know, in life, we have people who are just a normal, average individual, and there are people who are very gifted and talented. And Sadauda was a gift to us. One thing that I listened to, Musa, a few years back, you guys had an interview where Sadauda's either secretary or one of his advisors or close confidants traveled with Sadauda from London going back to Banjul. And I think that the flight was stranded somewhere. And so they had to purchase a flight. Correct me if I'm wrong. They had to purchase tickets. They had to purchase a flight tickets to go back to Banjul.
Yes.
And everybody was wondering where the money was coming from. And they went to Sadauda and asked him. And he indicated that they just didn't have any money because that was not something that was allocated for. I can allow you to kind of dilute into that, but I remember this conversation for the people, by the people, where they were telling you that experience.
I think so too. It was either it was Bibi Dabo or one of those that we had this interview with, and that issue came up. I can't remember the details, but there is one thing, Saul, that most reasonable Gambians would say that the man was just uncorruptible compared to other African leaders. And even today, the guy was just way ahead of his time. I mean, in terms of his ability to lead and bring people together. I mean, in terms of uncorruptibility, and we haven't even gotten to his capacity, his ability, his capacity. The man was just, he had what it takes. And Kebba Nanko,
he did. Come on in and say, Musa, I wanted to add one more thing because people need to know this. There was this incident where he was at the State House and his son called him to tell him that his vehicle broke down. I think his son was here in the United States. And he asked him for an amount of like maybe $20,000 or something. And the old man told him that he had no money, that he was not going to go take money from the coffers to give to him to fix his car.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
I
was a
believe
true
that.
story.
Again, there are a lot
Okay,
of
go ahead.
stories like that.
Yeah, thank
Serious.
you.
Keba,
Thank you very
one
much,
more.
Musa. I'm very happy to be part of this show, and then with my party leader,
Mhm,
and I call it today. Is our day PPP
mhm,
and Sadauda. Generally, when you're talking about Sadauda, I try to also remind people Sadauda was on an island. He was working through a political party to be
mhm,
able to achieve what he has achieved in the Gambia.
mhm,
Therefore, PPP and Sadauda, you cannot separate the two.
mhm,
And therefore, all the people that were in the PPP government
mhm,
were the people that were helping him to ensure, he was able to achieve what he had achieved.
mhm,
Um, PPP as a political party and Sadauda, it has started a very long time when Sadauda himself was not part of the initial idea.
mhm,
It is started with a few people because of the way the protected people felt about how they are treated or
mhm,
how they are marginalized by the
mhm,
time they protest. So a few people, mostly Amitech students, but from the protectorate, they were very, uh, curious and sad the way the elders from the protectorate live in Banjul. Mostly Basanjali Bojang, very prominent,
mhm,
and somebody called, I forget the name, but in Jai, they are very popular businessmen, but they always have problems. And
mhm,
the British were using these as a divide and rule tactics to make sure these people couldn't reconcile.
mhm,
And the parties at the time were also using their lack of unity to create more problem among the folks that are very prominent in Banjul.
mhm,
So these young people said, what is happening? It's time for us to get up and look for a way to organize ourselves and engage our leaders so that they can unite. So that we as a protectorate will also have some benefit when you come to development and social economic benefits.
mhm,
I mean, prominent among these people were Mamadi Sanyang, who was a health officer, but originally from Kantora. We
mhm,
have we have Bakari Sidibe, we have Keba Marena, we have Elvin Boj, we have Safarman Singate, and
mhm,
the prominent lady among them was Aja Fanta Basse.
mhm,
These people came together, and then Bakari Sanyang was their chairman, and this was early in 1956.
mhm,
And we have Bakari Sidibe as their vice chairman. They used to have meetings, and then they say, "Hey, let's just establish something," because what they have was a society, and this
mhm,
society are mainly. I'm from Kiang Kaira Kafo. I'm from Badibu Kaira Kafo. I'm from Fuladu. So they have kafos, but these kafos are basically helping each other. If you lost somebody, you have a problem, they will come and take you, help you, societal. Just like the way we have, our own association focus on helping the
exactly.
associate members only.
Mhm,
So they said, let us organize something called the PPS, People's Protected Society.
mhm,
And this society will be the young educated people in Banjul will come together, from protected, come together and then engage these people to tell them, because they are wealthy, but they don't understand
mhm,
most of the political issues that they can benefit from. So they came together, um, formed this PPS,
mhm,
and they started engaging Sanjali and other people and said, what is happening right now among the elders. You guys need to you guys need to unite so that when we are united as protectorate, we can
mhm,
engage this government so that they can take us seriously.
mhm,
In this process, they also started to engage some people, like Sadara was not part of it in the initial
mhm,
one.
mhm,
They had the meetings with Sanjali and other people. Oh, and they said this is a great idea, and then try to engage those leaders to come together. And the engagement was kind of difficult to unite them, but eventually, just to make it faster, they succeeded.
mhm,
In one of their meetings, Basanjali said, "I like this idea. We need to get united." They tell them reasons why they should united. Basanjali said, "I also know somebody. He's from Barajale, but he's in Abuko. I'm going to invite him to this meeting."
mhm,
That's how, just to fast track it,
Correct.
Sanjali was able to come and with Sadauda at that meeting and find all those elders there and said, all right, now Sanjali said, this is a great idea, but I think if the ambition is to get something from it, we need to make it a political party.
Mm-hmm.
This is how the idea of political party came in. But it was very interesting because when that was mentioned, then those people are civil servants.
Yes.
They could not find themselves into politics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's a good idea, but all of them said then most of them are senior civil servants. Then they have to leave their job. They will not be able to have, So
Mm-hmm.
it was difficult at the moment to. The idea was accepted. Generally, everybody was excited. But now, what is the problem? Now,
How to go through
the
it? How to
idea
make
now,
it
let's
reality.
be the people, the business
Mm-hmm.
people like Basanjal and other people, take the idea. I don't, we will help you to set up the constitution and everything. Sadala took up the initiative, drafted a constitution, and give it to them. These elders went ahead with the idea to establish a political party, just to fast track this issue.
Correct.
This is how PPS was from PPS it became the PPP,
PPP.
People's
Yeah.
Prosperity Party.
Party. Correct.
Right. So this decision, the elders who are educated or not educated but very smart elders, committed, dedicated to the Gambian cause, and went to Basse, it's called Mansabel. The PP was finally on 14 February 1959. Sadara was there as a resource person to give a speech, but not a member as a political party.
As a resource person, yeah.
He gave a speech, excited them and said the party is formed and all those things. So it was established. People like Pama Wasature, they went around with bicycles. These people, they struggled.
Mm-hmm.
It has happened. The PPP was formed. Now they have no leader. All these people are civil servants. They want to work with them at the background. They don't want to involve in politics. Sadara was then approached again through his friend. I think it's from Kudang. I forget his name. Who said, "Hey, Miss Sadara,
Dr. Marena.
Dr. Marena, Miss Sadara. I think he has been a student leader, and then he has some political ambition." Because that's what he
Yeah.
thinks. So Sajid Sama was approaching PPP and he said, okay, he's forced this. He said, look, we cannot have it as procreated. We have to make it People Progressive Party because we have to unite the country.
Correct.
This is Sadawada.
Yes.
And then when he came there's a one man, and when I look at our politics today, people think these things are new, but these things are real. These flip-flops from one party to the other party, it's not something new.
It's always been there.
It has always been there.
Kebba Nango.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. You've given us a background.
I want to do that.
How the PPP came about and the pivotal role. I'm sure Kebba Jallow, but I want to just have my good friend Fadia to just say a few words before we hand the mantle back to Kebba Jallow. Brother Fadia, it's been a while.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here today to contribute to this discussion and very important national discussion, especially talking about our founding father, the Alhaji Sadara Kebba Jallow. But I want to continue in my own language, my mother's tongue, which I'm very happy to contribute my quota.
Absolutely.
First of all, thank you very much, Chairman and the party leader, Kebba Jallow, and Kebba Nanki. Keep it up with the PPP. It should not die. It's one of the best parties in the Gambia, in my opinion. Lima buga ware moy Alaji Sadara Kebba Jallow and the PPP. Mande Kumachiganda Suma Papa is part of the founders, and an advisor to President Jawara, and the party. From the grassroots, the party be tahow. So man, I'm not a backbone to that party if I want to be. Why? Linyo ware moy the president Alhaji Sadara Kebba Jallow nekana ko hamne amaguñ ku melni mom for the fact that ne time be Africa the fight independence. The first stand firm to make sure that the Gambia, even big guy Americans here, United Nations, it's not gonna make it. How family believe in themselves with determination. That they didn't at the Gambia, they build the institutions, but make Gambia what it is today. Because institutions, you very tubaab yi yiñ fi bàyyi woon yu fi nekk tey nekku ne tubaab yi ñu ko jox ñu ci bari ñoom ñoo ko create
correct
pare audit African diasporas pour ñu build Gambia the first constitution is not gonna be compared to the Second Republic certainly ba pare ñoom seen jàngkat yi they were very honest most of them dëgg àggal nañ Gambia in the diaspora especially foreign policy boo seetee Saadata Kebba Jallow with the Gambian population biñ ko ama independent amaguñ sax million population
300,000 you could even say 400,000 people.
Yeah, 250,000 they said. Now nga seet Iran and Iraq here bi Jawara moo ko lead formation of the OAU Saadata Kebba Jallow mu ngi fa woon bokk na ci leaders yi nga xam ne ñoo ko draft all those rules ñu ñëw tam si economic bem chair everything loo xam ne Gambian president war na ko Saadata chair na ko te bari presidents yu ñëw after moom ñoo xam ne mënu ñoo àgga foofu nit la woon koo xam ne is very humble yeah nit is a person of democracy intellect la none of them can compare with him intellectually yeah te Gambia roots bi xam na culture bi te du daan discriminate te amutoon tribal waaw soo seetee 1963 bari na si ñi nga xam ne including my dad ñi nga xam ne dañ doon fight pour wax ne seats yi after elections dañ ko war a jox gaay PPP si la break that barrier indi ñoom Gaba Jahumpa indi ñoom JC Faye indi a lot of coalition into PPP bañ biñ jàppee itam 1981 ñoom kii Sheriff Mustapha Diba ñoom Fodiba Jammeh ñoom kii Jammeh Jaara Kemesen because kii indi naka Assane Diallo indi le case bi ne ko ñi dañ leen jàpp ba léegi amuñ evidence dafa ne soo leen amul evidence bàyyi leen ban ci président yi tey mooy wax loolu to your opponent
very rare
taxaw na fii Mansa Bemo biñ def fële ko naka la tuddaati Mansa Konko mu taxaw mu ne man fu mu nekk nii jot na pour man ma bàyyi in the presence of ñoom Kelefa Samba nga xam ne ñooy président yi parti bi le président li fi of MC Diallo ñëpp mu taxaw mu wone ne man léegi mag laa te institution yi démocratie dafa laaj pour ñuy change di joxante ci nguur yi tey mooy nangu si président yi kuy nangoo wax loolu buñ la ko waxee sax nga mer wala doo waxatee borom nga jàpp ko tëj ko
wallahi
so amul benn comparison boo xam ne nekk ni moom la ñëw compare président Saadata Jawara du si éthique am du si way of politique am du si tolérance am yeah te ni moo jàppee Gambian si tam he was very cared because fu mu dem fekk fa Gambian dina meet ak ñoom ñun kay ñoo fayut naar bi xoromam it was very sad bi ma déggee story ne jóge na America di dem Angleterre nekk si plane bi moom kenn be benn Sierra Leonean moo ko jàppal baagam bi in Angleterre waaw fayuñ ko liñ ko waroon a fay however President Jammeh try na indi na ko back to the country jox ko security man I was very lucky 2009 maa ngi dox si boori beach side bi rek ma tasee moom ma taxaw nuyu ko mu nuyu ma identify suma he was very happy that man doomi Ablaye Fadia la gis naa ko nuyu naa nit ñi waa ñëpp dañ ko daan di seetaan muy romba ma ne non taxaw leen ngeen nuyu wante moom ngeen woon ko ne appreciate nañ la so in foog man fu ma dégga waxtaanam dinaa ñëw ma wone ne I really appreciate definitely nit la woon ku baax ku dimbale Gambia ku taxaw Gambia donte kon Gambia tuuti na waaye respect woon nañ ko di ko yu bari amuñ woon a ñoom visa li taxoon mooy si moom lañ doon di xool king bi queen bi ñëpp respect nañ ko even United States fi mu dee àgga ak lu ma fu mu wax rek da nga kontaan angal si personnalité am si representation am well ever ñun dañ koo ñaanal rek ma ne fu mu jaar rek comme que dégg naa programme am bi
yes thank you very much Fadia without a doubt we did not reach out to you to invite la you took it upon yourself
thank you
and you text me ne dama ci bugg a wax and I think that it's important to highlight that and we thank you immensely definitely we appreciate you Kebba, you've heard Jibril Fadia, you've heard Nanko, Kebba Jallow, and of course our sister Tukulor C. Nima def hada ñu bàyyi Tukulor mu wax Kebba and then nga mun a comment on all their li gars yi wax Tukulóor.
Tukulóor gëj naa ko dégg trop.
Tukulóor yaa ngi fa.
Okay, dama doon jéem a unmute.
Oh, okay.
Musa, ndeysaan, I became very, very sad. My father's people, all of them are gone. Okay? Are you guys hearing me?
We are hearing you loud and clear.
Wait. Suma earpiece di bante ma mugi connect. Yanang ma dega?
Wow.
Okay, so I just wanted to, as a PPP baby, and I mean my father's PPP, not this one.
Honestly.
I always get very, very angry when I see people talk about the fact that, Jawara's presidency was about corruption and Jawara was the only time a destitute family can get up from anywhere in the country. Ngadem Department of Social Welfare, ñu jox la xaalis, ngadem jënd li nga lekk nga toog. That was the only place boo xam ne any deadbeat parents, so nango to fail child support, ngadem social welfare will garnish your wages and make sure you pay child support. Time Jawara was the only time boo xam ne Gambia di nga toog nit ki indi nit lifina mboka mu feebar munuñ koo faj in the country. Jawara's government through social welfare and Ministry of Health dinañ make arrangements ñu sara to see yeen dekay yooyu dañ ko dee bañ sax ba ñoo doon fay to take these people internationally for treatment. maa ngi remember benn time, and I'm saying this because I worked at social welfare and Halifa Sallah can confirm this. I remember one time this kid swallowed a butut, so it restricted his airwaves. So guess what? His life was critically in danger. Being community again Banjul, guess what they did? They did everything. They flew that kid to Dakar, and that Sudan Gambia Bobu Taylor, Konatale Bobu Dena. That's one thing. The other thing is, forget scholarships. Yes, you can see a lot of the people that were in the cabinet. Why a lot of Domi Gambians they will tell you send Jangatamit, some of those scholarships.
Absolutely.
Yes, nobody was perfect, but most of those scholarships were given to them because of Linmun, Sen Munmun, Mota Modem. So when people talk about Jawara Num Korate on the Jawara government Linfi Daput, it was only during the Jawara government Bohamne, Mansunker Birkama. I cannot remember the frequency of it. Why Sunker Birkama through the Alcalo, Sumakunda. Then they know security binda sa turi borom kergi ñu indi la diwlin ñu indi la malo ñu jox la crack wi ñu jox la all these condiments that come with a meal. Dañ ko amon sax be Saudi Arabia lifin buñ daan yone xar yi daan yone sax dañ ko daan yóbbu ñu split ko ci lifin yi ñun bir kama dañ ko daan am. So de demee ci jàngee kaay bi qualified teacher moo la jàngal man. You guys know man don't know man America. I didn't go to school. Qualified teachers in my teach. Those are the people who taught me what I know today. I didn't learn it in America. I learned it. Qualified teachers so ko dege Gambia mo ne dañ dem Gambia college ñu janga fa bala ñu leen di dugal ci classroom bi. Yo so ko munut do nek qualified teacher. Every single child, you wake up in the morning, so amute lolé ka sa kër. Demal ci school bi di nga am sa ndeew bu baax nga am sa añ bu baax crack wit man dafa dee toog fi mu ne benn ci ni crack wit I miss it con beef. And the last day of school, guess what they did, Musa? The last day of school, gis nga li nekkoon si storage boobu lekk yoo noonu storage ba instead of gars yi naka kitchen staff bi ñu seedoo ko ñun xale lañ ko dee jox ñu yóbbu ko suñ kër yi. All of this happened under Jawara. So I'm telling you, until it happens, we can sit here. You may have the union domi PPP. Didn't talk in the Hoseko Unilen. Jawara lim fi def. Can defango coffee. And until they do, there's no presidency that was better than Jawara's PPP. And I can put my hand on that. Kubuga argue this. Nanyo ma nyom ni Facebook Live. Ma argue ko nyom. Ma wax len li ma xam. I just had to do this.
No, to grow.
Kebba.
Can you prepare something?
Thank you very much, guys. So I have to go before I start talking about the no PPP. So thank you.
Thank you, Tukulóor. So, Kebba, So I'm not a mohone do yaga. Why I want you. I'm not a pasama. Bugo nanga deglu pasama nag. So then I'm gonna summarize yep. Niwa. Momugi lige yokai.
Pasamba nag moy okay, pasamba bahal.
Most,
Uh,
Pasamba has been a strong opposition to PPP. My Jabal says, I used to call Jabal, he said, Pasamba Poku. But now, I mean, today we have PPP here, Pasamba. And then let's have the conversation. I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. Don't worry.
Yes. So, but I just wanted to thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah.
And Sadauda would have been 100 years old today. And there is Sadauda, the president, the politician, and Sadauda Jawara, the human being. For most of my life, I knew Sadauda, the president, from a distance. And luckily, when he wrote his book and came here to tour the country, I got to know Sadauda, the person. And to me, Sadauda, the person, is a decent human being, a very humble man, and an absolutely intelligent person. Just dealing with him, he was just decent. You just dealt with him, and your opinion of him would start to change. I've heard Gibril Fadi's summation and contribution, and it's true. Was the PPP government perfect? Far from it. That's why we were its opposition.
Exactly.
But there were things that they did, and you have to at least give them credit for that. As a human rights activist, my activism can be linked to the governance system that we had in place. Because when the PPP started lobbying, the PPP government, Jawara's government, started lobbying to house the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, which was established by the Organization of African Unity, OAU, now AU. There were many competing countries. And Gambia won it, not because of its size or economic might. Gambia won it because of its democratic credentials. Because for a very long time, during that time, if you remember very well, during the 90s, we said it was the period with democratization in Africa. That's what they used to say. Even Senegal, at some point, had pretty much a de facto one-party state.
Yes.
Yeah,
Gambia became a country that consistently held elections, had oppositions all the time. And when they established, finally, were given, Gambia won to establish or house the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, whose mandate is to promote and protect human rights in Africa. The PPP government decided through an act of parliament to accompany the African Commission with the establishment of the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies. That was created by the Gambia government with a sole mandate to promote human rights in Africa. And the Minister of Justice used to serve as the chairman of the center. So sometimes people confuse these two. One is established by the OAU, housed in the Gambia. The other one was established by the Gambia government through an act of parliament, 1983 Act of Parliament. So it is really befitting to also tout Jawara's human rights credentials and democratic credentials. Of course, there were tints in it, especially after the 1981 coup. But again, overall, there was a reason why Gambia was called the champion of human rights in Africa. Because it was, especially within West Africa, the only African country that adhered to the very principles of human rights and democracy, and for a very long time. So I really gotta give them that. And of course, on the diplomatic sphere, I had Jibril say that despite our size, we saw the role that Gambia played under the leadership of Sadauda to broker the Iraq-Iran war. In fact, that brought to prominence the OIC,
Mm-hmm.
the role that he played.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Liberian War broke,
Mm-hmm.
he was then the chair of the ECOWAS and was able to, through efforts, so many meetings held in the Gambia, leading
Mm-hmm.
to the establishment of the ECOMOG, not ECOMIG, ECOMOG,
Mm-hmm.
and that eventually helped to save lives. There were its problems. I've written something against Jawara or something, but those were these at that time. But anyway, overall, Jawara lived a very decent life as a citizen of the country who respected human rights, respected opposition. Musa, I've narrated this over and over and over again.
You did, definitely.
1992, the last rally that was ever held by Jawara,
Mm-hmm.
Serakunda West Stadium. They had all three candidates from Bakau, Serakunda East, Serakunda West. Sam Silla from Bakau, Serakunda West, A.A. Njai, Serakunda East, OJ Jallow. Jawara was there. I remember him giving a speech. I was there, clad in my Doi t-shirt. Yes. As soon as he said something about Doi, I said something that was not very nice.
Uh-huh.
And I'm here to narrate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for a fact that when Doi came, Doi would write a lot of letters to the State House complaining about issues on behalf of people. And they had always gotten a response from the State House. We all remember 1987,
Mm-hmm.
Serakunda School.
Yes, exactly.
When Halifa Sallah confronted
Sadauda.
Sadauda.
I was there.
You know what Sadauda did? He turned around, walked away, got in his car, and left.
Mm-hmm.
1992. I remember when we complained that the OJ's table, conversing table, was not 150 feet away
Exactly.
from the polling station.
Yep.
When the PIU came, the Zandam or whatever they call them, tactical, whatever they used to call them.
Yeah.
Not only did they move them, that table was broken into pieces. But again, Sadauda was a very good man and somebody I think who, like Kebba said, unified the country, because I've been in and out. Because even the PPP itself, when it was formed, it graduated from Protectorate People's Society to Protectorate People's Party.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Nanko just gave us the background. Yeah.
When they tapped him as the leader, he told them, you know what? For us to unite the country, let's drop the protectorate and bring the people so that it would be an all-encompassing party.
Exactly.
But with that, Sadauda, and of course, OJ, whose anniversary was just a few days ago,
Yeah.
these are two giants of the country. Irrespective of your political differences with them, you will always respect them because they've always stood for the country. And we wish them, we extend our condolences to their families. And definitely we as a people will continue to be in their debt. With that, I thank you. I had to be nice to the PPP today, so I'm not saying anything.
But
Jamal is watching you. Jamal is watching you. He's ready for you.
You're not being nice. I've heard you talk about this story again and again and again. And I really have to be honest. This is not the first time me hearing you say these things about Sadauda. And like you indicated, when Sadauda came to launch his book, the experience you had, I had a similar experience. But I'll allow Kebba, because definitely.
Oh, you know what he called me that he never called you, Musa?
Huh?
You know what he said about me that he would never say about you? When I gave my speech, he turned around. His first thing he said, you know what, we should all learn democracy from Pasamba. Thank you very much. You will not get that. What? Anyway, thank you guys. I'll listen.
Kebba.
Okay.
Kebba, you've heard all these commentaries about somebody that you really know. We talk about his ability to unify. We talk about his uncorruptibility. We talked about his intellect. So what do you say to all these commentaries that you've heard?
Musa, after listening to all the speakers, I have now come to believe that Gambia has come to a stage where we can have another Jawara, maybe another form. It may not be Jawara in person, but the intellect, the love for your country, and the zeal and the economic and the political will of somebody. You may not be in Jawara's clothing or Jawara as a person, but after listening to all the speeches, whether it's going to be a man or a woman, this was what Jawara and his team were dreaming of when they wanted the country. A country where a system of government, a better system of government will continue, and have leaders, better leaders after them. Now, when I say better leaders, they don't necessarily mean they're going to be PPP or DOI, or it can be a Gambian leader. Leader. And after listening to all of you, trust me, Musa, I feel very confident and comfortable that imagine leaders are coming out from among us. This team that Jawara and his team dreamt of, that one day we will have leaders who will take up from us. They are still in transition. Don't forget, PPP has never had a continuous transition. Jawara was overthrown, and then Yaya came in. He never how you call it? He never shook hands with Barrow. Barrow is still waiting for his time to go. I don't know how that is going to be. But now let us learn history. We are learning history here. And we are some of us I remember and met with Jawara and his team. PPP will call up in a big meeting next year. And it's all going to be about PPP and Jawara and OJ. Some of you, if you have time, you'll be invited. We are trying to make a catalog of events and his life and that of PPP. PPP is going through a transformation to change completely. It's no longer the PPP that we know of. It's going to change. The characters will change. The philosophy will be there as party of the people, but then new leadership will come. So for people whose parents were PPP, in fact, all Gambian people were one time PPP, except few. Except few. We were all PPP because everybody joined the movement. It was not a party, it was a movement to change, to vie for independence. Now that change as time went on. But we are, this team that is there, I don't see those people as continuing. Let us not wait until it crumbles. Let us prepare ourselves for leadership. God knows how it's going to come, but the current leadership are not the ones that are going to continue forever. Not long ago, not long time. Now, what we will do, come buñ xaar ba mu yàqu nañ prepare some minds, and I'm very happy li ma gisee nii li ma gis li ma dégga lii la ñoom Jawara doon ñaan nañ am doom yu baax ñoo set wax ma doom bi Jawara de ay set ay setaat xale yoo xam ne dinañ gën a xam passé ñoom ñi fa nekkoon démba te loolu mu ngi am ci jigéen ak ci góor su ma dégloo tukulóor si li mu wax daf ma fa boppam bu baax a baax ku ñoom liñ def. Why we are not talking about the son of Jawara, the son of Kebba Jallow, the son of Kenan? Why Gambian people, the good Gambian people, then let us come together. The world is changing, surtout Africa, surtout Gambia. We have challenges, Bohane. Sunne Kulbena, I have to be very negative this time. Sunne Kulbena, in the next 15, 20 years, we will die as a country. Our neighbors are growing and they are moving very fast. Senegal is entrenching its body, both politically, economically, and whatever. We have to have a good and consensus leadership. Mohammed Nendekai Bopa, Bepara Tahau Suntanka, Bepara move forward. Senegal is not a threat, it's our best friend. We cannot go without Senegal. Neighborhood, we have to be seen again as a country to be reckoned with. So, Musa Alima, I'm trying to say this because I'm seeing challenges. Once more, a party will address all these things in the coming Congress. So, but the change, we are not here only to win elections. Jawara said, don't be there to win elections. It's a movement for the people, by the people, and of the people.
Yeah, Kebba, I'm gonna push back and ask you some difficult questions. But I want Saul to basically give his commentary too after hearing all the different folks and what they had to say. Saul.
Yes, Musa. I couldn't agree more. One of the stories I remember as a young man, when Banjula Judo, why Damadem Jangi Busra, as a little kid, I remember back then, the Radio Gambia. This is to tell you about the demographics and how conscious Saudada was about education to begin with. Radio Gambia had this program where they went to practically every school or most of the schools in the districts to interview young people, to tell stories. Mange remember these late stories in I was recorded. I'm still thinking about going to Radio Gambia and try to see if I can get that archive to listen. I said it in Jola, because time they would interview students, young people from all across the country. These were programs that were there with Sarawada to kind of share stories on the part of these folk tales. We have these things here in the United States. Kids are taught about these stories, folklores, folk tales. We teach these kids when we teach these kids in the English language. We're gonna understand how to write, how to use comprehension. Sadauda mentioned stuff in his book, which is here for people to see. If you don't have this book, buy it, because we don't have a president who has written a book yet. This is signed, Musa. Thanks to you for bringing him to Atlanta. I have the old man's signature on this book, and I will cherish this book till the day I die. But here is a speech that he mentioned, and I found it. I want people to listen to what I mentioned about Sadauda being a man who was ahead of his time. And I hope you can hear this speech quickly. I'm going to play it before we switch over. Here, listen.
Absolutely.
I therefore have, for the first time in the history of our country, to address you today from a capital other than Banjul. The need for this contract is obvious. In the early hours of yesterday, Thursday, the 3rd of July,
can you guys hear it?
A group of individuals, calling themselves the Supreme Council of the Revolution, has seized a radio station, an airport, and set about to broadcast ridiculous statements asserting its aim to seizing power from the legally constituted government that I have the honor to lead. Worse still, this band of traitors have declared their intention to destroy our Republican institutions and have been subjecting innocent citizens, civilians, and loyal security forces alike to insults, molestations, and various forms of violence. They have been able to do all this with encouragement and support from outside this country and with the collaboration of certain elements serving with our field force. Fellow countrymen, you will sit back and wonder with me as to how our dear and widely respected country and its decent, law-abiding citizens should come to deserve such barbaric treatment. For the moment, I plead with everyone to be patient until the full facts are brought to light after the thorough investigation that will be carried out very soon. For the moment, I plead with you to remain calm in the face of this senseless provocation and to continue to give your loyal support to the government and the police and other forces who in their overwhelming majority have remained loyal to the government. This dark, sinister day in the history of our beloved country is already about to end, and with it, its tale of untold cruelty and misery. There can be no escape for the band of hired quislings who have unleashed this wanton disaster. They will have to face the consequences. Fellow Gambians, you will need during this period of individual and collective trial all your to remain lucid and to comprehend the situation. I will only underline a few basic facts here for your guidance. Firstly, the duly constituted government is in control of the entire country except for selected areas and installations seized by the criminals. These are the radio station and areas in Combos and Mary. The Yundum International Airport and the Transgambia ferry crossing, which the rebels earlier held, have been wrested from them by troops loyal to the government. Elsewhere, loyal troops are grouping to give a final assault to dislodge the dissidents. Secondly, at no moment did my government lose its authority or control over any other area of our national territory. Thirdly, the basis of the authority and the power that my government enjoys in the country is the confidence and support that you as its citizens place in us. These cannot be seized by any force. Three, in addition to your support, my government continues to enjoy the recognition and full confidence of many friends and neighbors in the region and in the international community at large. It was thus that from the outset, I was enabled to invoke the agreement of mutual defense assistance that we signed with the Republic of Senegal in 1965 in order to help strengthen the hands of our loyal forces in rounding up and neutralizing the rebels and criminals in order to minimize the bloodshed and suffering forced on us. The Senegalese troops have since last night entered the operations to round up the last pockets of rebellion. It is to say, dear countrymen, that the hired quislings have only succeeded in harassing, maiming, and killing innocent citizens, at the same time provoking panic and confusion in the country. These are in themselves heinous crimes for which they will pay. But thanks be to Allah, the actions fall far short of enabling them to control the country. It is the occasion for me to salute the loyalty and courage of my Vice President, ministers, and loyal armed forces. I pay tribute to the memory of those who lost their lives in this tragedy. I pray for the perfect rest of their souls and assure bereaved families that my government will see to it that these valiant citizens who risked and lost their lives in the defense of their country, its freedom and institutions would not have died in vain. Once again, I like to assure everyone that I have been kept fully informed of the unprecedented tragedy that has struck our beloved country. Under the circumstances, I am very clear in my mind about my supreme responsibility towards our country and its people who placed their confidence in me. For the 18 years that I have held supreme responsibility for the destiny of our country, my efforts have consistently been in the direction of safeguarding the lives and liberty of its citizens at the same time as I strive to improve their living conditions. Our country is not the proverbial land of milk and honey, and my government never promised the impossible. But at the same time, I am determined to see to it that the peace and progress so far achieved are not confiscated and destroyed by demagogues and quislings. I accordingly restate my resolve to be with you shortly to continue the task started, and I appeal to Kukoy Sanyang and his fellow insurgents to lay down their arms and stop the pointless shedding of Gambian blood. May Allah help us.
Amen.
Musa, in passing, in conclusion, I wanted, because there was a lot of tension by the previous regime of who started the wars. And these are things that I keep in my little files here to remind me of who the old man was. At my age, just remembering the opportunities that I was given back home to be able to come here and be able to serve. Musa, every day I go to school, I share my stories with my students at school to try to tell them what country I came from. It is disheartening and sad to see that we have let go of all of the foundational frameworks that Sadauda and the PPP put together. You must never forget that. And this is the reason why I always quote Sadauda as our yardstick. He believed in education. And he has said in his book that unless we get our acts together in making sure our children get the education that they need, we wouldn't be able to achieve the dreams of making the Gambia the country that we have always prayed and wished for. And I'm going to conclude by saying the Edwards Francis Small Hospital needs to hold up to its name. It has the name of an individual who was also one of our founding fathers. We cannot allow that hospital to have people held in that hospital and taken to that hospital without having the medical support that they deserve. Sadauda never did that. I had some service did done to me back in the years when I was in high school. At least the year when I graduated in '88. There was a refill that was done by a dentist doctor. Musa, I kept that until I got to the United States up until 1997 when I took that out. The doctor asked me, dentist asked me where I had that sealing to take place, and I told him it was done in Banjul. These were things that Sadauda did. And the other
Yeah.
thing that I mentioned, Keba, any of you guys can vouch me, when there was a death at the mortuary at the at RVH hospital, there was a police officer and there was what you guys call it. We call it a coroner's officer there to justify the death of that individual. We did those things for a reason to find out why that person died. Was it malicious or was it because of some kind of ailment, so that we can prepare ourselves to be able to avoid any pandemic affecting the country. There were veterinarian services that were there. These were the institutions were there for a reason, Musa. You need to go back to thinking and looking at the books of Sadauda. They are all in the archives. We can dig into them and
Yeah.
find out how the government functions. I'd like to say
Yeah.
thank you, Musa.
So,
Oh,
listening to that speech,
well, I'm
just that speech alone, that tells you, you can even now look at African leaders who can deliver such a speech at a certain time.
on,
The man was just way ahead of his time.
on the
Bless
duress,
God.
on the duress.
Under duress, and listen to this speech. Look at the leaders that we had in the Gambia, whether it's Jammeh or Barrow. Because if we're going to measure in terms of yardstick, under duress, and the speech that this man was able to give, to me, that says a lot. And
No, Musa, one thing people we always have to remind, try to reflect is Gambia at the time when Jara was even taking the mantle of leadership. It's about we have at least about 10 people or even less who went to university to actually have a degree. That's why there's so many doubts when you come to our human resources capacity to run as a country.
Yes.
Most of the ministers that we had, they do homeschooling.
yes, teachers here and there. Yep.
Yeah, just do homeschooling just to manage and to make sure the Gambia go forward as a country. But hence you want to go to Uncle Kebba, we can go into most of these things so people understand. But this is about sacrifice. And when I see people today and I'm highly educated and all those things, and I believe our education today, a lot of people are educated in the Gambia. We don't have that during Jawara time.
Way more than we had.
But what we had at the time, the sacrifice, the loyalty to the cause of Gambia, and today is far, 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 far different.
So Kebba.
No? Yes, go Kebba.
Clearly, the PPP is his legacy.
No.
And since 1994, one would say that the PPP, just last weekend, I said DOI was an afterthought. But PPP has become not only an afterthought, it's forgotten. Most of these young people don't even know PPP.
That is true.
The future is gloomy. We saw PPP, OJ was there. OJ kind of carried the mantle, gave the PPP the voice. OJ passed away last year. Most people are saying, Jawara gone, OJ gone. What is the future of the PPP? What is the current status of the PPP? And with no disrespect, Kebba Jallow, because I've gotten to know you. You're a decent man. I saw you here in Atlanta and how you contributed to liberate our country. You are currently the leader of PPP. But Kebba, you are no DK Jawara, not even close.
I'm no OJ.
And no OJ for that matter. So what is the current state of the party and how does the future look? People are saying you guys have been amalgamated. You are now part of the NPP. People are saying you guys have an alliance with the APRC. There are a lot of misinformation and disinformation. Is it true that you guys have become second fiddle to the NPP?
No,
And
no,
what does the future holds, Kebba?
Musa, I think this is the one of the most important questions that you asked.
Mhm,
And as the leader, I am the most qualified to shed light on some of the issues.
mhm,
And believe me, Kepanako can help me a lot if I miss anything. PPP led the country from 1965 to 1994 with dedication, seriousness, and a good leadership. PPP had all the whatever we need to organize and to win elections. At one time, Chowdhury said PPP was beyond winning elections. We had to be a movement. We have to be there for everything.
mhm,
PPP had government, we were in the government, we served in the government, but the party, as a party, was the leader of the government. We had good times, but at the same time, we were leading a people, a whole people, not a generation, a whole people, and there were opposition within among us.
mhm,
The party promoted opposition and tolerated opposition, and that was what gave us the mandate to rule. We did not trample on the opposition. Unfortunately, when there was a change of government, coup d'etat, it came just overnight.
mhm,
It was never, we never thought about it. It just came overnight and then took over everything. Just like a storm. There was no preparation. There was nothing absolutely. When the coup d'etat happened, Musa, the least they could have done was to free the people. Okay, now you are no longer the government. You go sit down, we will take over the government. But that never happened. What they did was to incarcerate our people, the government. We were never allowed for 5 to 7 people to assemble. The PPP were never allowed to assemble. 5 to 7.
mhm,
Our assets up to now are frozen. Up to now. PPP we had a lot of money. We had campaign money. PPP was well established throughout the country.
mhm,
In 7 years, it was banned. During those 7 years, you cannot mention PPP anywhere. On the other side, the regime was talking bad about PPP, rampant corruption, whatever they call it. That was all these names throughout the country on the radio and TV. They had the opportunity to trample down on the minds of Gambians that the Jawara government was corrupt. They stole all these things. They got people to these commissions, and the commission, which was only a farce, nothing came out of it. That went on for 7 years without answering questions. Fortunately, after 7 years, we had to team up, and Jawara said, I remember Jadawara and Oje, they contributed to forming the UDP, and I was here, Musa, you were here.
yeah,
Oje called us to say, look, let us just forget our PPP and concentrate on forming another party until we are at this. We all came together, and as you said, I was very instrumental in Atlanta here. There was at that time you could not talk to more than 5 to 7 people about Gambia because people were afraid because their families were back home. They
mhm,
didn't go after your family, so people are silent. They
mhm,
could not talk anything that was going on. But some of us stood out and said, "Look, this thing cannot go on. You cannot imprison me in my country, and then you imprison me in my consent in another country, especially in a society like America."
mhm,
So we stood out. But PPP, we never talk about PPP until when we formed the coalition. When the coalition was formed,
mhm,
we supported the coalition. We did everything in Atlanta, the NAD coalition, all these things. We brought all of them here.
mhm.
That's how the thing started. But we were never not even talking about PPP. We are talking about the Gambia, Gambia,
At
Gambia,
that
Gambia,
time.
Gambia.
Mhm,
Everybody forgot. But there was a time when OJ said, "Look, now our struggle on fruit. The country won its freedom. Let us go back to our homes."
mhm,
People started asking, why would you go back to PPP? PPP is no longer there. OJ said, no, that is what brought this thing up. I remember even in PPP itself in Banjul, those former ministers, some of them, they had to argue for them to register PPP or not to register it. So this fight started long ago. Within PPP itself, they could not agree whether to move on with UDP or register PPP. Or just stood out and said, no, we have to move on. We have to register we have to re-register as a party and move on. How OJ re-registered the PPP, and then we started to move on gradually. At that time, only few people. It was Kebba Jallow, I remember, and Badjie. Badjie was sick, and then you had Landing Jallow Sonko. Can you imagine all the ministers who were in Jawara's government? Few people, not more than 3, stood out to say, look, in fact, they could not even meet, they were afraid. Kebba Jallow, I remember, Badjie, and Landing Jallow Sonko, and OJ, they move on. This is where we are. When I moved back to Gambia, I remember OJ was appointed as a Minister of Agriculture. I went to see him. I went to his home. He had a meeting in his house. There were so many young people there. I said, OJ, I thought there was nobody in PPP. He said, what do you mean? I said, what we thought in America. I said, you don't have anybody. He said, look at all these people. And these are the people that I'm still working with. You know what? Please, I don't need any position. Let me help you. Before I left, I was an elected member. I was the elected councillor for Bundung, and I was also the first elected chairman sponsored by PPP for KMC. And I was also the secretary general of the PPP movement, the whole national movement. I said, I cannot sit idly by and let you struggle. I must be able to do something and participate. I said, please don't elect me. Don't give me any position. So that's how I came in. I helped him until we organized the Congress, and then Papanjai won the elections, and we moved on. Papanjai was elevated to an ambassador, and naturally the thing came back to me. OJ said, you know what we are saying is not what we thought about. You say you don't want any position, but now you cannot move away from this leadership. We have to elect to lead the party. I said, I can do that and lead the party until the time. So we agreed. That's how I found myself as the leader of the party. But I've always told people, I can lead the party, but I have a limit, and I have my limitations. There will come a time very soon we have to reorganize the whole thing and then get a new and brand leadership. I don't always believe they say to bring in younger people. I don't always believe in that. Some of the younger people, they are the best, to be honest with you, and they vote. They are many, over 60% of the population. But Musa, sometimes it's good to leave an elderly person among the younger people.
Absolutely.
So whoever is coming tomorrow, Allah knows. But today, I would, if I am, well, I told them I may lead the party until certain time, but I would blend the old and the new. The old know where to go; they know what was there and what is there. But the younger one can move faster than the older. So this is where we are. The party.
So Kebba, you close over one critical issue. Are you guys in alliance with the NPP, or are you guys standing on your 2 feet as an independent party from the current government?
Let me say it clearly. The alliance was for the election. That was not this past election, the other election.
The 2021 elections?
Yeah.
Presidential?
We supported the president, and then we collude with them and supported the candidate of the president. But as of now, PPP is a standalone party. We contested against them in their own wards and their constituencies. So if there is, there is nothing like we are in alliance with NPP. That's not like that. If there is election tomorrow in Badjie, we will go and contest against them. If there is election in Banjul, we will contest against them. Maybe there may be later, because in politics you can never say no. Allah knows best. You want where you can win, But right now, as we are, I can tell you clearly, as the leader of the party, we are not in that coalition with the NPP.
Kebba,
Yes.
this past few days,
Mhm.
you know me, I follow politics very closely. There was an interview on Coffee Time by Sir Dawda Jr.,
Mhm.
the first son of the president.
Yes.
And when I listened to him, oh my God, my body just, I'm like, oh my God.
Dauda sitting down
He
there.
sounded like him. I mean, he looked like him. And then I saw the press conference, and he mentioned him being a member of the PPP. I'm like, PPP? Oh my God. You guys want to bring back your party?
Yep.
Here you have him. In him, PPP can relaunch itself.
Yep.
That's me thinking aloud.
Uh-huh.
Am I just ahead of myself?
It's a
Or
fact.
what?
It's a fact.
What role do you see somebody like Sir Dawda Jr.? Here is a guy, sounded like his dad. I mean, he has never been involved in politics.
No.
I mean, he has retired, as far as I know, and without a doubt, he's an intellect. I mean, just listening to him,
Yes.
to me, that says a lot.
Yes. He's an asset.
A hell of an asset, if you ask me.
Musa.
So what role do you see him playing in supposedly the new PPP?
Musa, let me tell you, this is what I'm telling the few minutes ago. The PPP is going to reinvent itself.
Mm-hmm.
First, we appeal to the children of the leadership of the party at the time, and now appealing to all the children of Gambia. PPP, the Gambian people benefited, at least getting ourselves as an independent state from Sadauda's government.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we have different opinions or whatever, but we are all children of the Gambia.
Mm-hmm.
PPP appeals to everybody. And the beauty about PPP, Musa, you know, I come to PPP. You and Dr. Sen come to PPP. If you come today, you are as well as Kebba Jallow today.
Correct.
So we are going to start the ball rolling soon. And Dawda Jawara Jr. is PPP. He's a card-carrying member of the party. We will not tell him, come sit down and take Kebba Jallow's place. That's not the way it is. Go to a Congress. If there's a position that he's interested in, he can ask other people, then he's got. But right now, before Congress, either December or February, or before February next year, he will be given a good role. Make sure that he goes around the country, talk to people, talk to the elder people who knows his father, and knows what the other place. He will go around and convince the people to come back to their party. That's the role they are going to assign him. If he talks, you will see Jawara in him. He's not going to do anything. First, his Jawara family are divided. Some of them are in other parties or whatever, but then he's going to do make sure that he talks to them, come back to their father's party. If fine, they can still say, but then we are still Gambians. But he's going to be given a prominent role when I go, and I'm in touch with him almost every minute, every day. And not only him, there is this Singate.
Fode, I saw him too. He gave a speech at the press conference. He lives here in Dallas, very much involved in PPP affairs. So it's not like PPP don't have their guns. You guys have your ammunition. The question is, how do you utilize them?
The only Gambian general who lived in the State House, and Fode was the first son of Fariman Singate. He was the first to be born in State House. So Fode coming on board 110%. That is big plus for PPP.
Without a doubt. Nanko.
Yes.
So what do you say? You heard me. You know, I like to call it political postulations, but I heard this guy and I'm like, oh my God. You know, if I were the one hired by the PPP, I know exactly what to tell them on how to go about it. What say you, Nanko?
Yeah, I think Musa, the question you asked Uncle Keva and then the coming of Dawda Jawara Jr. Is something that make me very excited when I listen to his interviews and also the press conference and
Mhm.
seeing him with Fode.
Mhm.
What is happening to PPP is quite unfortunate.
Mhm.
That many intellectuals that we have, or that we are basically their parents, we are very critical in
Mhm.
saving the future of the Gambia, are sitting there and watching, and then um, not doing any effort to help the PPP to become what it's supposed to be. I
Mhm.
mean, in politics, you cannot. What is happening to PPP is not only. It's not about the members or the leadership. It's the people that have faith in the PPP and right to the PPP they stay because it's a political movement. And then I know some people will look at this and said PPP is a political party, but Jordan's vision about PPP is that it's not a party that happened to be in power. It's a movement that he believes
Mhm.
will stay here for a longer period. And
Mhm.
what he expects of all of us who believe in the legacy of PPP and Sadauda, what we can do now is to come back home, give it back to PPP in the best of our ability.
Mhm.
Yes, there is no political party that is perfect.
Mhm.
Any party you go to, even like we are in America, Trump is
Yeah.
the leader of Republican Party. How many people agree with Trump when you call the Democratic candidate and his personality? But the people stayed with him because it's not about him, but it's the institution they believe, and they want that institution to be strengthened. They don't want it to be
Mhm.
divided.
Mhm.
So one can only be very myopic in thinking if you just look at the PP flaws and shortcomings and say, "I'm out of it."
Mhm.
Because the PPP under Sadauda and the PPP on the first founders, most of them are dead. The PPP is still here. Is CP going to live longer than any of those people? It's a
That
movement.
is
Anybody and one person can change a political party. One person can change a political party.
that is very true.
One person can change the whole country. Some could change
Mhm.
Senegal. One person. It
One
all
person.
becomes your message and then how you communicate to the people. And
Mhm.
a political party like PPP, our motto is the voice of the people is the voice of God.
Mhm.
Therefore, whatever decision we make, it has to be based on the view of the majority in the party. Right?
Mhm.
So this is why we are appealing, right, to everybody to come on board to help the PPP to strengthen our party.
Mhm.
Coming of Dauda Jaro Jr. It really make me excited because it was very critical for me. And many times
Mhm.
when I talk to people about PPP, they will say that well, we don't even see Jawara family. Where are they? But they, I mean, what are you trying to tell us? Some
Mhm.
people will say that. So for him coming in, there is a void that he has filled, and that void, I mean, will never be a matter of discussion anymore. And I believe Dow Jones Jr. will not only is not only coming, but he is somebody who is very resourceful
Mhm.
for the PPP and a great asset. And then when it comes to the future of the PPP,
Mhm.
we cannot move forward as a political party without reaching out to people, reorganize ourselves. I mean, sending a clear message to the Gambian people. We are ready to move this. We are ready to move this party and getting ourselves prepared for 2026.
Mhm.
And if people come as early as possible, join us with their support, both financial support. Him, I mean, your how they call your intellectual support and everything. We can
Mhm.
we can easily regroup and come with a better plan and a better message that we can send to the Gambian people. We can easily come right now form a very good Congress where we'll be able to choose our flag bearer. One
Mhm.
thing people also need to understand our constitution, PPP, there is a huge difference between PPP as a party leader and the PPP as a flag bearer.
Mhm.
We have a flag bearer, and that flag bearer selection is also done at a Congress.
Mhm.
You have a party leader whose election is also done at a particular Congress.
Mhm.
So being a party leader and being a flag bearer is far, far, far different. It's not an automatic thing.
That's right.
Mhm.
So people need to understand and all those issues that we are dealing with. And I know when people will say, okay, I'm from PPP, or someone say UDP basically is the PPP.
Mhm.
You make those arguments,
Mhm.
but that's far from the truth.
Mhm.
Because Musa, the APRC in 1994, when they came
Mhm.
in, Those people who were born in 1994, when APRC came in 1994, 1996, the people in those parties, they were either PPP or NCP.
Yes, NCP. That's very true.
It is quite this, sometimes it's dishonest for people to say, hey, PP from UDP. No, because you all remember in 1996, the PPP grassroots politicians went to State House, the chiefs, the imams, appealed to Yahya Jammeh to form his party and contest election.
That is very true.
You all know that in Fonyi was no go area for any political party but PPP. For me, I always say what we have in APRC is more than what we have in UDP. So our people are everywhere. So therefore, when we really want to bring everybody on board, we have to think very well, not to be in the middle, so that we can get our people from APRC, get our people from UDP, and all other people to come back to the PPP and strengthen the party. But it is not true, or it is not the whole truth that PPP from UDP. The leadership is one thing, but the grassroots is the major factor. PPP is a grassroots political party. Gotcha. The grassroots has turned. So therefore, we can only appeal. We have, of course, as a party, we have subcommittees. Of course, as a party, we have issues. That's just like any other political party. But we cannot in any way, depending on going back to those issues, we need to think ahead. What can we do now as a political party? So we are just appealing to people to come, because if you don't come, the political party live with is the people that grow a political party. You don't come, we will talk here, you will talk here, but you have to now accept the realities that the Gambia and the legacy of Sir Dawda and all the founding members cannot go in vain. And if you believe the direction we are taking, and also looking at the political parties that are really in existence, the issues that are dealing with, and the parties, how they look like, can't we, for once and for all, come and said, hey, let's build PPP as a political institution, and we forget about personality politics? How can we do that? If I don't know, many of you people know. We can do that, because PPP, there is nobody in the Gambia that can claim ownership of PPP. It's not going to possible. And if you don't like Sir Dawda because of that's why you hate PPP. Sir Dawda is dead. It's no more. PPP is here. Don't just talk about Sir Dawda. His legacy continues as long as PPP is still alive.
You don't like OJ.
If you hate OJ, you don't like OJ politics. OJ is dead. The PPP is here. He doesn't own PPP. You don't like Papanjai. He's gone as an ambassador, not leading PPP, but still a member of PPP. But he's no more the leader of PPP. The PPP is still here. PPP is here as long as Gambia live. That's their objective.
So Kebba, hold it right there. We got some people that help us pay for this program, and I want to play their ads.
Please
and
do
then
that.
we will come back and deal with this new PPP and what is there for them if they want to be, if they're going to be a force come 2026. Yes, Saul, that was Cane Spice.
Yes.
I think you guys should. Is
Musa. I just want to learn, because I'm trying to make a case that this is very important, because for me, politics, just like all of us, you have to believe in something, and that's how, because even in religion, if you don't, that's why they said God said you have to know me. You have to know Allah before you can believe the Islamic religion. When you know Him, you become more faithful in the cause. So for me, as a young person, before in fact I become more involved in PPP, I read a lot of books. I read about PPP. I'm very curious about PPP. So when I read all these things, sometimes people say it came from Batandi, basically in Mandinka. You go to UDP or you go to other parties. But because of what I learned about these great men of the Gambia, what they did, that's why I believe in PPP. My vision as Uncle Kebba has always been, we have to turn around and make it as an institution once and for all. Because this personality politics affects us a lot, and that's still affecting the Gambian people. And that's what all parties are facing. Because I know people may sound that this is difficult, but I see as a very easy thing for people to do. That's if we really truly care about the legacy of the PPP, the idea of separating OJ and PPP is a fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. The idea of separating Sadauda and PPP, those things are not something that's going to, you can't even accept it. Because, for example, these people have just sacrificed their life for this organization.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot in any way pursue for the death of PPP or even encourage it, and you think that you are preserving their legacy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how things work. So for me, I believe that now is the time for us to change the language, the message. The message is, I don't want to talk about what has passed, because every party has their own flaws and people has made
The
things.
history.
I can tell you, there are decisions that are made in the party because of the party founding principle. The voice of the people is the voice of God. As Uncle Kebba, there are times they go to central committee, people vote against what he wants.
Yeah.
It could not happen. And I have seen a heated debate between members of the PB at the central committee level. Even in diaspora, those in our diaspora executive, when you have Uncle Kebba meeting, people get, you can ask for it, people get very tense. Because we have the democratic, we still maintain those democratic values here in the party. It's not a one-man show. So we are appealing to people to understand that PPP should be a political institution where everybody has a stake in it. But we cannot do that thing when we're still thinking about the past. Let's have a renewed hope that we can do this thing. Sadora is there, OJ is there, and all other people are there. The party is. Do we want this party to continue? If we want this party to continue, because it has a good legacy, to be able to have this kind of forums to talk about their legacy, how can you do that? If PP is dead, I will give an example. Perinjai UP was a very dominant party in the Gambia.
Yes.
Who hear about Perinjai?
Nobody does.
Has done a very great things for the Gambian people. A political organization is there to enhance and continue and telling their story and defend their story.
Absolutely.
Once that political institution is dead, we cannot promote PPP in UDP. They won't accept it.
No.
You cannot promote PPP and APRC. They won't accept it. You cannot promote PPP and MPP. They won't accept it because they want to promote their party and the agenda of their party and their legacy. So therefore, I want to give opportunity to other people to talk. But for me,
but you are so absolutely right.
I'm so appealing.
Absolutely right.
I'm appealing. I'm appealing. I'm very excited about Fode. Fode is part of the USA chapter. I mean, he's very passionate about what he thinks to be done. And Fode is doing everything possible. Back to Gambia now, going to spend 4 months there to do this thing. Please, let's if we think that we should go beyond personality, let's forget about individuals. Let's think about the party. I may not know how to turn the PB as a political institution, but I think all political parties need to look at that. How can you make it a political institution once and for all? And whoever becomes the leader, the process and everything should be credible and make sure that the credibility that everybody will talk about, we have to restore it. That can be restored. How can you restore it? It is now depend on the people that know how to do that. But if we don't have two people, we don't know how to do it, we're going to continue making the same mistakes. And then that means the future of the party is quietly in question.
So, so we're getting to we're almost, where are we now? We're almost after 3. And I did promise Kebba that I wasn't going to keep him that long.
But anyway, yes, I'm going to take leave, but the message I want to leave for the PPP, the legacy of Sadauda, if we want to protect it, is to go back and do the diplomacy that he laid the foundations for. But our messaging has to change, and we will not, just like my brother said, not side and have an alliance with a political party or a party that does not have the same principles like the PPP has. If we do that, we water down what the PPP really stands for. The PPP needs to come out and stand alone like they did, and go back and start informing the public, the citizens of the country, where the foundation or the country started and how the PPP changed it. Unfortunately, 1981, we don't talk too much about what happened in 81. And to this day, I am reminding every Gambian, and Uncle Kebba can vouch for me, that the reason why our country kind of fell off the cliff to the extent that Yahya Jammeh took advantage of the situation was because of 1981, because the country was at a precipice, and Sadauda had to struggle to do the ERP, which the PDOIS don't like, But this was what was necessary at the time to bring the country back to a point where we can bring back the country and kind of develop the nation with economic growth. He had plans, and unfortunately, Musa, Kuko Samba Sanyang circumvented and threw everything Sadauda and the PPP were doing into the trash. And that brought about the overthrow of Yahya Jammeh, thinking that the country was on the wrong direction. The people sided with him at the time because they did not see what Sadauda and the PPP were trying to get to. Remember, guys, the dollars exchange and the pound were pretty much very close to the dollars at the time. The
Yeah.
currency of that country at the time was something we were proud of. How about the civil service? These were things that we can bring up and tell the citizens about what the PPP was all about up until 1994 when Yahya Jammeh took over.
We
With
can do
that,
it.
guys, I'm going to thank you. Yes.
Thank you
Okay.
very
Thank you,
much.
Musa.
So Kebba, my last
Musa,
before you leave us, Kebba.
Tadimalama, you can take all the numbers and then also give them my numbers also. I need to talk to each of them one by one.
Oh, absolutely. I'll definitely. But Kebba, just very, 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 very quickly. What was I going to say again? Very quickly. Why would, like, a lot of people don't know the PPP that well, especially the young people.
Mhm.
And I'm not a young person. I mean, and I was there when the PPP was around. And sometimes I ask myself, why as a voter, why would I think the PPP would be any different from the NPP or the UDP? From a policy standpoint, apart from personalities, I don't see any kind of differentiation that the PPP would say, you know what, we are not, Nanko talked about that, they cannot be UDP or they cannot be APRC. But can you help me put my arms around it? Why would a voter look at the PPP and say, you know what, I think voting for them, they would be different from voting for the UDP, or they would be different from voting for NPP? Can you help me?
Musa, we had example. We governed. PPP is on any other part except APRC.
Mhm.
UDP is not in power yet. Others are not.
Mhm.
But PPP governed, and we will live by our example. Because
Mhm.
PPP, we can recall agriculture, what we did,
Mhm.
education, health, infrastructure,
Mhm.
and PPP can recall all those things and then compare to what is happening. And when we get into government,
Mhm.
we will make sure where we stop. PPP was not divided in government. No, it was not divided in
Yeah, they
election.
were forcefully removed. Yes.
It removed. Exactly. We never even completed what we were planning to do. So everything came to a standstill one time. But the legacy of PPP standpoint was still there. The agriculture, in fact, is one area that really disturbed me. If Barrow had gone through, and Yaya had good slogan, eat what you grow what you eat. I like that. Trust me, I like that. But unfortunately, grow for him and eat for him. that is the dark side of it. But that I
It's
like
true.
that he failed in that side. Grow what you eat. That I like that slogan. But Barrow never went through it. Today there is so much, not poverty, but there is more in self-sufficiency, insufficiency of food production. If Gambia can import all those rice and we have fertile land, everything is in short supply. Why would that happen? PPP would do something different. We would do something different. We'll concentrate on agriculture, education, and the things that go with it. So we will be totally different. Musa, in 5 years, we will promise Gambians there will be no hunger in the Gambia. That is the way we will do it. Look, if you go to Fuladu, it's all rice fields. We'll make sure we concentrate there. We produce rice as much as possible. We have storage there. Sell them to Gambia. If you go to Nyomis, Dugub, they have a lot of Dugub there. Kus, we will make sure we help those people and we grow Dugub and have storage there. If you go to Basse, they grow peanut and all those will happen. We will concentrate certain areas which produce more. Make sure we have storages sell them, the rest we keep it for our own consumption. We will do things differently. These people don't have that idea. And we have experienced people, some of them are alive, others are still in the records, we'll move on. But that is the difference. Difference is go back to our records and see what PPP was doing. It's not going to be, and then we'll bring in new faces. It's going to be the no, Musa. It's going to be different totally. Yeah.
And Musa, I mean, just to come back to that, you know, when you say what is the difference between PPP and the parties here, I can tell you there are significant differences. Because the PPP is for the voice of the people is the voice of God. We are there for the people. The PPP is not going to venture into all this, serious, I mean, very expensive infrastructural development while people are starving. The PPP government, what it cares, understanding the social status and the poverty level of Gambian people, the gap. The PPP government focus on the people and make sure they are not starved, they are not hungry. It's not about this heavy, structural, infrastructural building when people are dying at home or kind of food. That's why most people went to school, because of there's enough food at school for them to eat in Gambia. Every Friday, people go to school, there is food at school to give the students, to motivate them. Where I'm from, Kebba Jallow or Brikama, where I'm settled, in those days, we don't even rice these imported, how they call it, rice. We said, Jahal Pachar was few years away to produce what the Gambian people need. In fact, we used to export cottons and other things outside the Gambia. So we focus on, because knowing in Gambia, we need to focus on agriculture and enhance it so that people can grow exactly what they want. So we are the PPP is for the people. It's not about government get up and decide this is what I want to do. I don't care what the people think. But what the people really want in Gambia is that the food basket is expensive. Yes, there are a lot of economic situations in the world, but the investment that are done in other areas, if it's really invested in the Gambia, in the Gambia, to the Gambian people, will be able to how they call it, help to subsidize those costs and also enhance agriculture. So that's a huge difference. But again, as Dawara Junior said, we come to a time where the PPP will have to look at the current situation and redefine ourselves and come with the actual message that we think we understand the Gambian people.
Yeah.
I think that's very key. And Musa, you can see, I mean, people will say, what our political philosophy? And I always say, the party has defined itself. Today, in those days, the progressive democratic movements are not many, but PPP is already a progressive party.
Absolutely.
We are a progressive party. What we always look for a way to create avenues where there is progress and where there is development. So there are a lot of differences in our and again, I see my sister Tukulorisi is pulling my legs. I mean, that's what it does anytime I come to the show. But again, she's my sister. I'm not going to go anything that she said. But again, we're gonna chat more about those issues, because we need people like her. I know she have a lot of issues with PPP.
She does. Which is to be expected.
But we are also happy to say we have his brother, Babukar C, who just registered as a member and has been a member since then, and also part of our executive committee. And that's his elder brother.
So you guys need to bring her back.
We're gonna get her back. We're gonna get her back. It happens. We're gonna get her back.
Yeah, Kebba.
Yes. Send me her number. I will engage her. Please.
I'll send you her number, no doubt.
Because she's coming back. She have no choice.
Let me tell you something about.
She have issues
about Tukulor.
Yeah, we are family.
Tukulor has been there for the longest, all the way going back to the Gambia L days. And this very liberation that we are talking about.
Yeah,
I always tell this story. Few weeks before we had that meeting, the convention that Barrow was elected. Money was not coming. You guys were in trouble. The former vice president contacted the Tukulor seas of this world. I had a conversation with Tukulor getting out of Okche Highway. I'm like, Fatu Kamara and Tukulor, you guys need to come up so that we can raise the money. There are little things that made the difference that people don't recognize sometimes. Out of that conversation, the next day, I think it was on a Friday, but normally Fatu Network wasn't even supposed to come. Tukulor talked Fatu Kamara into coming. Together with Juka, they were able to raise $8,000 to $10,000. Out of that money was used to deposit and pay for the convention. So this is a lady who contributed immensely to make a difference. For me, let me say this. The only way that I can see PPP being a formidable force, win or don't win come 2026.
It's okay. It's okay.
There are certain things that has to happen. PPP and Gambia for all under PP Davos should come together and make sure that PPP comes back home. PPP needs to make sure that Tumanjai comes back home. PPP needs to bring in this new person, Dauda Jawara, and all the sons and daughters. I was just talking to Lamin Jata. In fact, I was hoping to bring Dembo Jata, who is currently in the US. All of them would have to come together. And together, you guys can be a formidable force. In the absence of that, you will just be another party. Take that for me, and I'll send you, Kebba, the invoice to pay me.
No, Musa, you cannot, the way you emphasizing is critical. What I understand, we the people advocating for PEP, I mean, I think it's now time for us to listen. We have to listen. I mean, also be open up, accommodate, engage. Because PPP, what we know is diplomacy. We can have serious deficiencies, problems, and all. But when you politics is about diplomacy, and we don't know politics of antagonism. All right. So we need to think about who our peoples are, what the people were. Jawara is the coach have said incidences that has happened, but he was able to. I mean, he was able to emphasize tolerance, and that has to be something that we need to emphasize whatever we are doing. Coming to Tukulor C, in the diaspora. Well, before all this politics, at that time, everybody was focusing on how Jammeh go out. I mean, he was one of the people that inspired all of us. Whether we are involved public law or not, the lady like Fadu Kamara and other people, they inspired us in this cause. But again, I understand when you come to PPP, most of them, because of their love for the party, and then the direction the party is taking and what their position are, make them very angry and frustrated about the situation. And I always said this too, when decisions are made in a political party, only the members make that decision. And if you really want to influence that decision to make sure the party stay on course, what is right to do is to now get up, be a member, so that those decisions that you dislike will not be actually, the party will never go there, because now you have a voice in the party and participating in the decision-making process. So what we have now, I will further emphasize this. We all know that in any political party, at any given time, or in anywhere, one person got to be the most influential person in that party or in that organization, no matter how you like it or dislike it. Now, what we need to do now, we just have to go back, like you said, to Manjai and other people. To Manjai, okay, people don't understand one thing. Uncle Kebba, wife, and Thomas, how they call it, father, they get from the same father. Uncle Kebba can clarify. Yeah. Tumanja is my sister. We basically, I see Tumanja as very committed to the cause of PPP.
Kebba, I mean, I know, I don't want even to over. Yeah. So all I'm saying is, the party will only be formidable if you join forces together and bring some of these people back home. And that would be the only way, I believe, and this is just my opinion, that you can even begin to be competitive as a political party, to be recognized. But as long as you play second fiddle and to be seen as second fiddle to the NPP, you will only remain to be an afterthought. No party can function to be seen as leaning.
No, this one, Musa, I'm emphasizing. Musa, this one I'm emphasizing. We can only try on our part. We can only try to engage them. If they said no, we can only do less, Musa.
Well, I'm not trying to.
What I'm saying. No, that's why I'm appealing. I'm trying to come back to your point. I'm appealing. Let both sides, let us try to consider. You know, I'm not saying what you say. What you say is the right thing. But again, we want to enforce that both sides need to reconsider and forget
Absolutely.
about our past and come
Absolutely.
together. As we are appealing to PPP to do that thing, is exactly what we are doing. But we want them to understand what is at stake.
Right.
Let's forget about the past. Let us agree to a point.
Nango,
Move ahead.
let's give the last word to my good friend Kebba Jallow. I've known him for years.
Musa, you are coming. Musa, yourself involved. You are coming back. You have to come to PPP.
No, Kebba, don't worry. Musa is my
All right.
candidate.
No, Musa, you have to come to PPP. That one is not a joke. We're coming after you.
Kebba,
No, okay. Now, Musa, this one you yourself have to come to PPP. You can help us, Musa. You can help us to do that. You can help us to do that.
Kebba, don't worry. My candidate, don't worry.
Yeah.
Let me say this. Yes. I have really my attitude as far as PPP is concerned. I was never part of the PPP, never supported him. Just like any other high schoolers in the late 70s, I never cared for PPP.
Yeah.
When I finally met the president here in Atlanta, that changed my life forever as far as this individual is concerned. Kebba knows.
Yes.
There were a lot of people that went out of their way to sabotage him coming to Atlanta.
Oh yes.
And I had a lot of calls and emails. And you see, this is something about this man. Can you imagine? In his late 70s, this whole internet thing was new. Yeah. He went back and learned it. That tells you emails and all of these things. That's how, I'm telling you, this man is unbelievable. We sat in the hotel and people were trying to talk him out of even his own kids.
Yeah. Exactly.
Telling him that if you go to Atlanta, these guys are trying to use you. These people are opposition, blah, 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 blah. But the power was way ahead of them. He knew exactly. Yes. He called me and he said, even my own son is talking me out of it. But I am going to be in Atlanta. I know what is going on. When we sat at the hotel, when he finally came to Atlanta, he said, you guys keep doing what you are doing. There is a limit on what we can do from our end because we are in the lion's den. Sir Dawda was way ahead of his time. I hope and wish that we have a leader and a president who has his characteristics and his attributes and his capacity and his decency. I think if we have that, I think that will be the beginning for a transformational change in that country. I seriously believe that.
That's PPP. Musa, come.
What I really believe is.
Musa, listen to me. We are in this show. I am appealing to people again like you to come and help us to deliver.
We organize the
party. That's what I'm saying. No, you want me to talk to other people. I want to start with you, Musa. Musa, you have so much.
No. Believe me, I'm not as important as the people that I mentioned in terms of the startup. They will be the engine for the party. GFA, Gambia for All, with BB Dabo back in place. Tumanjai back in place. If you have that, that will be the beginning. And the Lamin Jatters, all these other folks that actually either went dormant. I know that you already got 4 days. If you guys bring those people back to the, I think that will at least jumpstart PPP as a party as we know it. Because our democracy too, we need parties that are viable. As many as possible. We don't care for these briefcase parties. I'm an independent candidate. We don't care for that. But I don't care for that. I want serious political parties that are willing to come out with their manifestos and talk about how they can help our country. And I think PPP So you have the final word, Kebba.
Okay, let me give you some consolation, Musa.
Yes.
We had a Congress some almost like 3.5 years ago. And one of the resolution of the Congress is for the party to go out, completely go out and try to get orders back to the party. And one of the key party was the GFA, which personally, I am in touch with BB. We had discussions and it's still ongoing. There's nothing, I don't want to jump the guns, but it's still ongoing. With GFA, our side met with their people. We are meeting. Nothing is concrete. Nothing has happened yet, but we are talking. And inshallah, we are going to continue to do that. And that is for the interest of the PPP, and they know that. and they are also interested, so that we can come together. That one, I think it's on. Now, for Sir Dawda Jawara Jr. and Fode, I think their coming is a blessing, because, as you said, it's a big plus from the family, from the families, I can say, and from the general Gambian people. Dawda Jawara is calm and has good demeanor, and he was never tainted in any way in the Gambia. He has a good background. He's well placed. And one thing I like about him, if he speaks, you think it's Jawara speaking.
Yes.
He has everything resembling Sadawda. So that is a big plus for him. But he has a lot of work to do. I told him, I said, Dawda, go ahead and get some of your people back. He said, no, will come? Some of them will come. Others will come gradually. So I'm happy that he's working on. For Tuma, the matter between Tuma and Kebba Jallow and PPP is before the courts. I don't comment too much on that. That's the only. That's why when people talk about Tuma, I just by that much, because it's before the courts. Tuma took to Kebba Jallow and PPP to court, so it's there. But what I can say is, whether it's PPP or UDP or DOI, you have to abide by the rules of the party of the game. You have to abide by that. Definitely, you cannot do otherwise. You cannot be in the game and go or do otherwise. That's the only thing. Tuma has to abide and conform with the party. The door is open. I am asked to contact them, but right now I cannot contact her because the matter is before the courts.
Correct.
Once that is there, let us leave it at that until it is settled. But Tuma,
so the other thing,
nobody talks about Tuma, whether the family or people. She is well known. She is well established. But then, what can we do? Nothing right now.
So Kebba, the other important thing that I think is really out there, I think even the Dawda Jr. mentioned it, is the PPP assets. And I'm thinking, now that dictatorship is over, we're in a democracy, your assets were seized by the dictator. I mean, I would have thought by now there should have been a resolution to give you your assets back to the PPP.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about the PPP bureau that used to be out there. I mean, it's still your property, I would think. I mean, how far have you guys gone in terms of getting these things back?
That is true. Actually, that issue is ongoing. We approached the president many times, 2, 3, 4 times, whatever. But then the whole issue is not even about the president or the government. We have some internal issues that we are trying to sort out, and we are almost at the tail end. To clear that, and then we will get our assets back. And then Musa will get that. PPP is on its feet. So we are almost at the tail end of solving that problem. But it's not all about Barrow. Barrow actually said to us that it is not about him. He has no interest holding on to our assets. So just to make you a little bit comfortable, so we are trying to solve those internal. Once that is done, hopefully by very soon, in the next 1 month, we will be on our feet.
Kebba, I really thank you immensely. I just contacted you yesterday, last minute. I'm like, and I called Kebba Nanko too as well. I'm like, I mean, I've been abandoned by my 2 colleagues, and we definitely need to talk about Dawda. I also want to appeal to, I know that there are people that were using this platform, this program, this content, to use it through their YouTube.
No, Musa.
And I would want them to desist doing that, because we do have our own YouTube channel, and we're going to be, broadcasting through YouTube as well. So if you are out there basically
Musa,
using our content
1 minute before you close,
on your YouTube channel,
Musa, 1 minute.
Please desist from. Yeah, I'll come to you. Please desist from doing that, because we have our own YouTube channel, and we want to make sure that our content, we put it through that channel and that channel only. And we thank you immensely, the people that were doing that, because we wanted the word to be out there, and you did provide that service. So Nanko, go ahead.
No. I guess I just had to avoid to. I read comments, but my senior brother, that we all know. Damba Bande wrote something.
Yeah.
I just want to, because I'm a little bit confused about that, because as far as I know, I'm an active and member of the PPP.
Right.
I have never seen anywhere the PPP has abandoned OJ for political opportunism. The reason why I want to talk about it, because I don't want that to let go. I mean, or let Demba tell me a specific issue where OJ was abandoned. As far as I know, OJ has been a very crucial in our decision making. As he was our board of trustee and advisor. Every decision that we take, OJ is indeed aware of the decision we take. Yes, at some point, as I said, he may disagree and agree on it, but PP is not an individual matter. As I said, we have discussion. We vote against issues that the party leader want, and we also agree on issues that the party leader wanted. But as far as I know, the PP has not surrendered themselves to Barrow. What has happened was we were in alliance with MPP, just like how you all cried at the time in 2016. Parties has to come on board and support a coalition movement. At that time, every Gambian and most Gambian agree: if we don't come together, we cannot defeat Yahya Jammeh.
Correct.
And that was a political alliance and coalition is significant, and that is entirely to the political party at the time what they feel is best for the political party. And what we think, what has happened in 2021 election, the PPP at the time, the membership at the time, believed that the best decision to do was, and it actually that decision was made at our Congress to go in alliance with the MPP. So just to clarify, because I don't know what Demba Balde mean, and I won't be specific about it, because I don't know how we abandon OJ. I mean, that will be disheartening for anybody to abandon OJ in the PPP. So I didn't know it, and PPP will never surrender themselves to any political party, and then we are a standalone political party. You all remember the case we were trying to contest for mayorship in Banjul.
Correct.
Jawa was our candidate. But what the MPP did, because they have power, they took him away. But we contested, we have limited resources, but we contested against them no matter what. We did our best to make sure that we contest against them. So therefore, if we are in alliance, we will not do that. So we don't abandon Sadauda, we don't abandon OJ. We make a decision that we think at the time, the membership majority believe at the time is best for them.
In the interest of the party.
Well, Kebba, we want to appeal again to for anybody who at some point believe in PPP legacy to join us. Forget about our we have shortcomings, we have problems. We want to engage, give us the opportunity so that we can have a new beginning and get a new hope for the Gambia and for the PPP. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kebba. Again, thank you very much, Kebba.
Musa, but we have to meet. We are all in Atlanta. We have to sit down and meet.
Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely find time.
Printed in America here with Kebba Nanko. So anybody who is in America and wants to register into PPP, contact Kebba Nanko. It's $20. That's it. In Gambia, it's $100. So you have a.
Thank you, Uncle. Musa, I'm gonna make a membership card for you for free, $20. Everybody in the diaspora. Our membership card is available.
Yeah, I'm still, even though people put me in different groups, I'm still. You see, Bob Touré said I've been PPP since the
$20 for membership card. Everybody should register as a member. We are going to yes, please.
I'm an independent, card-carrying independent personality, and like I said, when I see a leader that is progressive. A leader that I believe can transform this country. That is one leader that I will not shy away to come here and say. Just like I said, the Gambia needs something like Sadauda. If we have that, that will be the beginning to bring about change. I really seriously believe that. But again, guys, thank you very much, Kebba Nanko. Thank you very much, Kebba Jallow. And thank you for all our contributors. Thank you, Jibril Fadia. Thank you, Saul Badjie. Thank you. Who else am I missing?
Badjie's number, please.
Yes,
Uncle, call Andy to close C. To close C is a baby, but he's very upset.
I know, but you guys will have to sort that out.
And then Togolasi should understand people. I'm sure there's something that we can agree on. We may not give her what she wants, but there's something we can put on the table for her. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Yes, she's upset. Uncle, try to go to Togolasi and get to her. She can help us to do this thing. She has the voice.
She's an asset. I can tell you that. So if I were you, I'll give you Tukulo's number, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, we take it from there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Musa, for giving us this opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
And thank you, Uncle
Absolutely.
Kebba. It's an honor to be with you on this platform. Talk about PPP. I'm very happy to put our our ideas and the legacy of Saddle and the
Thank you
PPP
very
across.
much. And we want
Thank
to
you very much.
thank we want to thank Global Properties. We want to thank Canis Spice. And we also want to thank Heroes. Is coming this Saturday, Fatou Kamara, a very dynamic, independent lady. She knows how to make things happen. She's a doer. If you're out there in the Gambia, please go and support this young lady. Gambia needs a whole lot of people like Fatou Kamara. She's a doer.
That is well
All
known.
right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Till
Musa.
next
Thank you so
Sunday.
much.
People
Thank
by
you.
the people.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.